Your phone buzzes. You are mid-sentence, mid-thought, maybe even mid-dream. It doesn't matter. Your hand moves before your brain finishes deciding. Strange, isn't it? You didn't choose that reflex. Nobody taught it to you on purpose. But somewhere along the way, your brain built a wire straight from that buzz to your hand, and it built it faster and stronger than almost any habit you've ever formed on purpose. Here's the real answer. Your brain isn't actually reacting to the notification. It's reacting to something far older, something that has nothing to do with phones, apps, or screens at all. Let's go back to the 1950s first. Psychologist B.F. Skinner ran a simple experiment on pigeons in a box. He gave them a lever, peck it, and sometimes food would drop. Skinner tried different schedules. One group of pigeons got food every single time they pressed the lever. Predictable, reliable. You'd expect that group to peck the most, since they always got rewarded. They didn't. A second group of pigeons got food only sometimes at random, unpredictable intervals. No pattern. No way to know which peck would pay off. And that group pecked harder, longer, more obsessively than any pigeon on a predictable schedule ever did. Skinner called this intermittent reinforcement. Uncertainty, it turns out, is more addictive than certainty. Not a little more. Dramatically more. Your phone runs on the exact same principle, whether or not the people who built it ever admit it out loud. Sometimes that buzz is a message that actually matters. A friend, a job offer, good news. Sometimes it's spam, or an app reminding you it exists. You never know which until you look. And that not knowing is the hook. It's the entire mechanism. Think about a slot machine for a second because it makes this painfully obvious. Nobody pulls that lever because they know they'll win. Everybody knows the odds are against them. They pull it because they might win, and that maybe is doing all the psychological heavy lifting. Your notification screen was built on the same architecture. A vertical rectangle you pull toward your face, dozens of times a day, hoping for a small reward you can't predict. Now here's where it gets stranger, because the story isn't really about the reward at all. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz spent years studying dopamine, the brain chemical everyone associates with pleasure and reward. What he found broke the simple version of that story. Dopamine doesn't spike the most when you receive something good. It spikes the most in the uncertain moment right before you find out whether you got something good. Read that again because it matters. The anticipation is doing more work on your brain than the actual reward. The buzz in your pocket isn't the hit. The 3 seconds between the buzz and the moment you look at the screen, that gap of not knowing, that is the hit. Which means your brain has quietly trained you to crave the checking itself, independent of what you actually find when you check. You've probably felt this without naming it. That specific little jolt when your phone lights up, followed by a strange flatness the moment you actually read the message and it turns out to be nothing important. The jolt came first. The disappointment came after. Your brain already got what it wanted before your eyes even focused on the screen. So why would evolution wire a brain to work this way? Why would checking itself feel better than knowing? Go back further, long before phones, long before slot machines, long before Skinner's pigeons. For most of human history, your ancestors survived by constantly scanning their environment for new information. A rustle in tall grass might be wind. It might be a predator. Most of the time, checking cost nothing. You'd glance, see nothing, and move on. But the one time that rustle actually was a predator, ignoring it could cost your life. So evolution didn't build a brain that waits to see if something is truly dangerous before reacting. It built a brain that leans toward checking every single time just in case. A brain that treats uncertainty itself as a signal worth investigating. Because the cost of investigating is small and the cost of not investigating, even once, could be enormous. You inherited that exact same brain. It never got the memo that the savannah ended. It just moved into your pocket instead. Researcher and author Adam Alter has spent years studying what he calls behavioral addiction, the pull that certain kinds of technology exert on human attention. He argues that modern notification systems are engineered, deliberately, to mimic the unpredictable reward patterns that keep gamblers pulling levers and keep pigeons pecking keys in a box. Not necessarily because the people designing them are cruel. Because uncertainty is simply the most effective lever human attention has ever had pulled on it, And once you know that, it's very hard not to use it. Here's a detail that makes this even more personal. Have you ever felt your phone buzz in your pocket, reached for it, and found nothing there at all? Researchers have a name for this: phantom vibration syndrome. Studies estimate the majority of smartphone users have experienced it at some point. Your nervous system is so primed to expect that buzz, so trained to treat it as urgent, that it starts generating the sensation on its own, even with no notification at all. Your brain isn't malfunctioning here either. It's doing exactly what an overtrained checking system would do. It's jumping the gun on a signal it has learned, correctly, to never ignore. Now here's the part that reframes everything you just heard. You are not weak for checking your phone constantly. You are not lacking discipline. You are running software that was optimized over millions of years to treat any new, unpredictable signal as potentially urgent, potentially dangerous, potentially life-changing. Your phone just happens to send that signal dozens, sometimes over 100 times a day, and every single one of those signals gets processed by the exact same ancient alarm system that once watched for movement in the grass. Have you ever noticed how differently a notification feels depending on who sent it? A message from someone you love spikes something warm, something closer to relief. A notification from an app you don't even remember installing still makes your hand twitch toward the screen with almost identical urgency. That's the tell. That's not affection driving the second one. That's pure intermittent reinforcement wiring, doing exactly what it evolved to do, completely indifferent to whether the reward on the other side actually matters. Think about how much of your day is quietly shaped by this. The reflex to check before you've even opened your eyes fully in the morning. The reflex to glance at a dark screen, just in case, even when you know no one has texted you. The tiny flicker of hope every single time, regardless of how many times in a row it's led to nothing. None of that is a character flaw. It's a receipt, proof that your attention is being run through the oldest, most reliable hijack the human brain has ever had. So the next time your phone buzzes and your hand moves before you've even decided to look, don't be embarrassed by it, and don't beat yourself up over it either. You're not broken. You're not weak-willed. You are simply a very old brain doing a very old and once life-saving job, living inside a world that finally figured out how to press that exact button on purpose over and over all day long. Your phone buzzes. And now, for the first time, you understand exactly why your hand was never really the one deciding to move.